beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were.
Hello and welcome. You are listening to A Beautiful Legacy. I'm your host, Tiago Pinto. There was a time when the supermarket and the restaurant lived in completely different worlds. One was about efficiency, volume, and price. The other was about authorship, craft, and reputation. The supermarket sold ingredients. The restaurant sold interpretation. But at a certain moment, that boundary began to dissolve. Not because supermarkets improved their products, but because chefs began to leave the kitchen. And among them, one figure stands above all the others. Paul Bocuse did not just redefine French cuisine, he redefined where culinary authorship could exist. Because Bocuse understood something fundamental. Food is not only cooked, it is framed. And once framing enters retail, the supermarket stops being neutral. It becomes a stage. Before Bocuse, chefs were largely invisible. Restaurants had names, hotels had reputations, but chefs themselves were rarely the center of the narrative. Bocuse changed that. He became a public figure, a signature, a point of view. As one of the leaders of Nouvelle Cuisine, he moved away from heavy, codified French traditions towards something lighter, more expressive, more intentional. Ingredients became visible, plating became precise, dishes became compositions. But more importantly, authorship became explicit. This is not just food, this is my food. That shift matters. Because once food carries authorship, it carries authority. And once it carries authority, it can travel beyond the restaurant. The supermarket, historically, is a system of abstraction. Products are standardized, origins are flattened, experience is neutralized. You don't buy from someone, you buy from the shelf. Bocuse disrupted that logic, not by redesigning stores, but by inserting identity into products. Cookbooks, branded products, endorsements, prepared food. Suddenly, food in retail could carry a name, a philosophy, and a promise. This was not just convenience, it was translation. Restaurant logic, selection, balance, intention began to appear in packaged form. The supermarket started to absorb signals from the restaurant world. Curated assortments, emphasis on freshness, storytelling around origin, elevation of simple ingredients. The idea of quality as something visible and not assumed. But here's the critical shift. The supermarket did not become a restaurant. It became something else, a place where restaurant thinking could be scaled.
Beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were.
Preparation became visible, staff became performers. Staff become performers. The logic shifts from here's the product to here is how this should be experienced. You begin to see open kitchens inside stores, hot food counters with live preparation, curated cheese and charcuterie displays, bakery sections that feel like ateliers, ready-made meals designed as composed dishes, not leftovers. This is not accidental. It is the extension of restaurant dramaturgy into retail, and with it, Timing, sequencing, presentation, all carefully considered. Bocuse did not design supermarkets, but he legitimized the idea that food carries the narrative, and once the narrative is accepted, staging becomes inevitable, because stories need to be shown, not just sold.
Beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were.
What makes this transformation powerful is not the aesthetics. It is trust. The supermarket operates on scale. The restaurant operates on credibility. Bocuse bridged the two. He proved that authority could survive translation, that a chef's name could travel from a plate in Lyon to a product in a store without losing its meaning. This is not trivial, because scale usually destroys nuance. But here, nuance became the product, and this opened the door to an entire category. Chef-branded products, premium private labels, inspired by culinary logic, collaborations between retailers and chefs, the rise of gourmet supermarkets. Today, every time you see a signature ready meal, a curated seasonal selection, a supermarket claiming restaurant quality, you are seeing the continuation of that shift. Authority is no longer confined to the kitchen, it is embedded in the system.
Beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of
The world we inherited from Paul Bocuse. Look closely to any contemporary European supermarket. The fresh sections are no longer just functional, they are composed. Vegetables are arranged with intention. Bread is presented as craft. Prepared food is plated, not piled. You are not just navigating products, you are moving through interpretations of food. Even discount retailers borrow from this language. Simplified but deliberate presentation, signals of freshness and care, and controlled visual hierarchies. The expectation has changed. We no longer accept food as anonymous. We expect it to be curated, explained, and elevated. This is Bocuse's legacies, not recipes, not techniques, but the idea that food carries authorship even in the most industrialized environments.
beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were.
There is a risk in all of this. When everything is staged, authenticity can become performance. The supermarket can simulate care without necessarily delivering it. And yet, the shift remains important because it raises the standard. It forced retail to acknowledge that food is not just fuel, it is culture. Bocuse did not make supermarkets more efficient. He made them more aware. Aware that behind every ingredient there is a decision, behind every dish an intention, and behind every product a possibility of meaning. He brought the discipline of the kitchen into the logic of the system, and in doing so, he changed not only how we eat, but how we choose. And that truly is a beautiful legacy.
Beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were.
You've been listening to A Beautiful Legacy. This month, we explore the people and brands who transformed how the world eats. from systems of preservation to systems of experience, from efficiency to emotion, from anonymity to authorship. We finish today our series of food retail. If you enjoy the episode, follow the show and join me again every Tuesday and Thursday. Until then, keep noticing the beauty people leave behind. We will take a short break for Easter and we will be back on the 7th. I want to ask all our listeners to get in touch. If you have a moment, write us a line, a review, a comment, a criticism. Please email the show on beautifullegacypodcast@gmail.com. Thank you very much and happy Easter. Back to you on the 7th.
Beautiful legacy. Every line, every curve leaves a trace of who we were. In the shape of a chair, in the light on a wall, someone's dream still stands tall. But